Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald of Second Swing Golf here at Second Swing in the Colony, Texas with Blaine Seitz, Master Club Fitter. He's actually at our PGA Coaching Center location. You should schedule a fitting with him if you want just the elite fitting experience that we can offer in conjunction with the PGA of America. So Blaine, this is going to be a fun conversation today because we're talking about irons and how they've evolved over many years. So this actually stems from what you found in our clearance section. So talk to me about this iron that you found.
Yeah, so first off, I'm a huge fan of the clearance section at all of our Second Swing locations. You find some great gems in there. It's always a lot of fun. So what we found today is an old Mizuno MP 29 4-iron. And we're going to be comparing it today against a more modern 4-iron. This is the Mizuno JPX 925 Hot Metal Pro. Now, there's some similarities between the clubs. There's definitely some differences between the clubs. And like Drew said, we're going to hit some comparison shots between the two, talk about the technology and the evolution of these types of clubs, irons in general, but also the long irons and sort of what we're seeing with those as well.
Yeah, so I think, before we dive in, I always like to outline the specs of what we have. So with both irons, we've got Dynamic Gold S300s. The length looks pretty similar between them, right?
Yeah, they're probably within 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah, so those two things are about all that there is that's going to be the same.
They say 4.
There is also a 4 on the sole, both of
Yeah.
them. Yes, that is true. Obviously, the MP29 is kind of your muscleback blade, which is what made Mizuno famous for all those years. And then the Hot Metal Pro, very different design, different materials, aimed at distance, right? So,
Absolutely.
Let's just get it out there. The loft difference. What do we got?
Quite a bit. So we took these onto our analog Mitchell machines. The MP29 has a loft of 25 degrees, which of the era when this club came out was fairly traditional at that time. It's not uncommon to see a 4-iron at 24, 25 degrees, a 3-iron maybe around 21, 22. But the Hot Metal Pro here, we have a 19-degree club. So at the time when these MP29s came out, that would have been a 2-iron.
That's very different.
Very different.
We have 6 degrees of loft to think about in this test. I'm going to go hit a few times with each. We're going to see exactly what happens. I imagine I'm going to struggle with this for a couple of reasons with this MP29, but let's go see what happens.
All right, so Drew, this is going to be very exciting. We're testing equipment that is literally decades apart in terms of age and technology. Before we even hit the first shot, I'm curious, can you describe what it is you're looking at with this old muscleback iron and kind of the aesthetic that you're able to see here?
Yeah, it's definitely thin, and it's fun. I know in my brain, I know the loft difference, so I kind of see more club face here. I'm sure it'll be drastically different with that, but yeah, it's a, thin top line. You're not seeing much club head. It seems like the ball just looks huge because of how kind of short the blade length is too. So kind of intimidating actually a little bit, Actually hit that pretty good.
I'll tell you, it sounds good.
It did. It felt pretty good too. That was, I will not complain about how that went.
Oh, that's pretty nice right there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That felt fantastic too. Wow. Maybe I have a new 4-iron in the bag here. I don't know.
And for those of you watching, one of the things that kind of put Mizuno on the map was their grain flow forging process. And what Mizuno does in their unique process is they look at the structure of metal sort of like the grain of wood. And they understand that there's a flow to it. So they start with a billet of metal that has an aligned grain structure. And then through the heating and forging and stretching process, they keep that grain flowing seamlessly from the hosel down through the toe. And that creates a feel that's very difficult to replicate outside of that process. And I think that's what we're feeling and hearing here.
Nothing feels like a Mizuno. That's kind of the scientific explanation of that. But so far, yeah, you're right. I mean, even dating back to this era, super soft feel. Wow.
Now, of course, one of the downsides of a club like this, when you're hitting everything off of the middle, great. Yeah. But we do end up sacrificing a little bit of that consistency or forgiveness once we're off of that sweet spot.
Which I'm waiting for that to happen here. This is
way
too good of a series of shots for me so far. Okay.
There we go.
There it is. That was low on the club face.
All right, so you're only about 2 grooves off, and we saw a pretty dramatic change in ball speed, about a 10-mile-an-hour loss in ball speed right there.
Is it 10 miles an hour, really?
10 miles an hour from two
yeah.
grooves.
Yeah, that was definitely just one of those, you hit it low and kind of towards the heel there, and you know it's not going to go nearly what you expect. I actually like, the spin didn't change that much there.
Yeah, it actually came out pretty good.
Oh my goodness sakes. That's going to be left of the bunkers.
Woo! It sure is.
Oh my heavens.
Found the middle, though.
What happened?
Let's see. Face the path, 11 closed.
Okay.
So
right.
I think, all things considered, this is a good representation of a muscle back 4-iron. You have 3 pretty decent shots up here. We see the one shot where we're about 2 grooves thin, lost all that ball speed. And then the shot you just hit, we preserved the ball speed, but a little bit more penalized.
I think, and part of that, the ball speed too, I think, being high is because the face was shut so much, and that
Absolutely.
and kind of de-lofted a little bit. So that's part of it. I mean, you can see the dynamic loft I put on that swing was 12.2 degrees. That's not a lot. So.
Now, that's actually a really great segue, because one of the things we see in the fitting bay is when players come in, maybe they have an old set and there's a 4-iron in there, and the conversation inevitably turns to me asking a player, well, tell me about the relationship with this 4-iron. And most of the time, the player is saying, well, I don't really hit it, I'm not confident in it, I'm really just using it to get out of the trees.
Yeah.
And my response is, well, let's get you a better driver so you're not in the trees. But that leads us into the next conversation, which is what happens when we go into new technology.
Yeah.
They might both be 4-irons, but we have a lot of different technology in a modern head. Mainly what has happened here over the last few decades is with manufacturing processes, we've been able to get the center of gravity lower in a club and further away from the face. And that's enabling the clubs to be a little bit easier to get up in the air and spin a little bit more, even though the lofts are stronger. Now, a lot of players will attribute strong lofts to the sole reason why clubs are going further. And yes, that's a part of it. But you also have to understand that as the center of gravity becomes lower and further back, if you don't strengthen the loft, you end up creating a ball flight that's very balloony. And so you don't get a good ball flight. So yes, the stronger loft has a part to do with it, but the other part is that we're able to preserve ball speed a lot better on those miss hits. We now have perimeter weighting and multiple different components on the inside to place discretionary weighting and keep the faces hot. So I will be very curious as we go through another test here to see the differences in things like spin rate, height, dispersion pattern, and ball speed.
Yeah, that'll be huge, because especially that 4th swing that I had there where I mishit it, and as you talked about, the ball speed dropped significantly. Wonder what that kind of swing would result in with this club here. So, but yeah, I actually hit the ball way better and further than I thought I would with a 25-degree 4-iron, and I've now got something 6 degrees stronger here. That was a slightly towards the toe.
Do a little comparison right there. I know it's only one swing, but ball speed's very similar. Massive change in spin rate. We'll keep that with a grain of salt. Could be related to the toe strike. But it is interesting that the ball speeds are about the same, carry distance about the same compared to your good shots. Good shots with the other club.
I did go towards the toe with that. So I wonder, once I find the center of the face, we'll see what happens. But that is something to note. That was a pretty significant miss hit, probably as far from the center as shot 4 with the MP29, and my distance didn't really drop at all.
Yeah, to have a miss hit just as good as the good shots with the other club, I mean, that's saying a lot. There's a saying in this game that whoever misses the best wins.
Yeah, that was maybe a little high on the face there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I'm not finding the center at all at this club.
Now, while we may not, well, there is the center. There's definitely a center right there. But one of the things that catches my attention is if we look real quick at a heat map, here are the 3 shots that you've just hit.
Yep.
And what's really impressive is your ball speed is 136.6 plus or minus 0.4. So it's all over the face, but your ball speed is incredibly consistent. Your smash factor 140 every time.
That's wild. Okay.
And you swing it a little faster, potentially it's a slightly lighter shaft. We went from a 130 down to, what do we have, a 105 in this one?
Yes. Or, yeah.
.140 ball speed.
I just I'm having the right situation here. It's good.
Now, from a club fitting perspective, my inclination is potentially the shaft's a little soft for you. You're swinging
Sure.
about 98 miles an hour. We have a 105 grams stiff. You have the speed for an X for sure, but it's still very impressive that your ball speed is as consistent as it is.
I kind of went after that one. Not really.
So I'd be curious to go a little bit into the comparison of this data here, because overall, we see things like the spin rate on average is about the same. Ball speed within, 2 miles an hour.
Okay. What I'm catching here, if you go kind of scroll back towards the speeds, what I see is I feel like I hit the MP29 way better. I don't know if you're going to be able to bring up the maps of the impact locations.
Yeah, look at that.
But it's so much better, right? I had maybe one miss hit there.
Yeah, and I think
But
that was this.
look how the consistency of the carry distance, the deviation number is actually cut in half still with the Hot Metal Pro.
Yeah, ±6 versus ±13.
Right.
Yeah.
Despite the fact, again, that I hit the MP29 much better. I hit the center of the face a couple times, very close another time, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with the Hot Metal Pro, I didn't really hit one that I felt good about at impact. And that could be honestly a mental thing because I put this down, I see some of this mass behind the club face, and I don't like that. So that could be part of it. It could just be that I'm not swinging it right. It could be the slight, that slight difference in the shaft. But for how good those 5 swings I thought were, with the exception of one, the MP29, and to see it still not be that consistent is kind of crazy to me.
And to your point, the other one that's interesting on my end is we have a 19-degree club and a 25-degree club getting within 1/10 of a degree same landing angle.
Yeah.
So even though, again, when we talk about the lofts being stronger, it's really to pair with the center of gravity being lower. And so we have to strengthen it in order to create the right ball flight here. That's a lot of why really old clubs had a little bit more loft. The center of gravity was much higher. The other part, balls are a little bit different, but we're not going to get too much into that. I don't think we have an old ballada to do a comparison today, but that plays a little bit of a role into it. But yeah, I mean, and height as well. Look at the height difference. The hot metals ±12, or we're ±23 on the blades.
It's kind of not. I think I'm not saying we're busting myths here or anything like that, but I think there's something to be said about the way. I think for sure, just the construction of these larger, I don't know, it's like game improvement or player's distance irons nowadays. You miss hit the center of the face, it's going to be friendly to you, because I was more consistent.
Yeah.
Which again to me is shocking with how I swung this club and the contact I made. But I was more consistent with my carry distance. I actually had more carry distance too, despite how really poorly I was hitting it. But then also, as you mentioned, like in terms of launch, spin, height, like there's something to be said about the way that this club is still able to get the ball in the air with the way it's constructed versus the 25-degree club sure has more loft, but the center of gravity is much higher, designed to launch it lower. So there's those things to consider, and it's a more nuanced conversation than just, they're jacking those lofts to get you distance.
Absolutely.
It is a little more nuanced than that, and hopefully this kind of showed some of that.
And the other thing we haven't really touched on, though, if we do a direct comparison between the soles.
Oh, yeah.
So different.
Yeah.
The club in your hand is almost twice as wide as the sole right here, which for many players who are going to fit into that style of club, we're going to see, as much as we're seeing an improvement here indoors in a controlled environment, it's probably even more when you go out into real grass. If your ball striking is not quite perfect, you have a little bit more forgiveness. The turf interaction is going to be a little bit better. Might get a little bit more penalized with a club that's this narrow with such low bounce on it. Traditionally speaking, the older Mizunos in particular, very, very little bounce in the long irons. I believe, I don't know the exact specs on these, but it's not unusual to see like 0 to 3 degrees on a long iron. And if you're not just absolutely perfect, it's very difficult to manage.
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of to wrap too, just purely looking at the dispersion. I would even say if you're in a fitting, hypothetically, this wouldn't maybe be a fitting per se of these two options, but there's an oval up there that is probably a lot, for you as a fitter, a lot easier to work with than
Absolutely.
the MP29. So yeah, I mean, the modern technology helps. If you miss hit a little bit, it's going to help you. And it's, again, much more nuanced than just their jack and loft to give you distance. The construction is different, the center of gravity is in a different spot, and it's all there to get you in a certain launch and height window. And yeah, this was fun. We had the club in the clearance section. I thought it'd be fun to bring it out against something that's more modern. So
Yeah, absolutely.
well,
Yeah.
Blaine, thanks for swinging by and helping us out with this one. This was really cool.
Yeah, thank you so much, Drew.